Ladies and gentlemen, I've been accused of being a one-trick pony, but I'm not only obsessed with this, I find this brilliant and fascinating. This is why I talk about Clinton becoming nominee, because she will become nominee. And I just find it amusing and absolutely fascinating how a political machine could deceive so many people. They're not going with Biden, and I called that in 2017 in my Huffington Post article, Clinton 2020 is a reality, get ready for 8 years of Trump. Now, that will be the biggest political call of all time. It's like basically a prophecy. It's the H.A. Goodman prophecy. I can say with 100% certainty Hillary Clinton is going to be the nominee in 2020. She's the only person they have, the only person that could possibly defeat President Trump. I give Clinton a 25% chance of winning, actually. Biden, 0% chance. They would lose the Electoral College. They would lose the popular vote. It would be he would get obliterated and decimated every single debate. But I just want to read you this. This is really interesting, okay? This is really, really interesting. There is a Clinton advisor. So one of Madam Secretary's advisors has stated that Joe Biden should drop out. Hashtag dropout Biden is trending, okay? Or one of those. I don't have a Twitter account. If you see anyone impersonating me, please notify Twitter. But there is a Clinton advisor. I'm not going to give you his name, but he's a very, very, very trusted advisor of Madam Secretary. Former Clinton advisor calls on Biden to drop out over allegations. And now Fox News. Former Clinton advisor calls on Biden to withdraw over allegations. Okay. So this gentleman, a political activist and one-time fierce Hillary Clinton backer, urged former Vice President Joe Biden to end his presidential bid. This gentleman is now a staunch Bernie Sanders supporter. Okay, great. Really, one of Hillary Clinton's closest advisors is this gentleman, and trusted advisors. So he worked for Clinton during her first presidential bid. Was a prominent defender of her in the 2016 cycle. Took to Twitter Saturday morning to say Biden should withdraw, and then he goes on. And by the way. Subscribe right this second to Bizarro World Goodman. I'm getting the costume and wardrobes in. It's going to be a comedy channel, pure satire. I am going to be the embodiment, the personification of your worst nightmare in terms of a liberal or progressive that has derangement issues pertaining to President Trump. So I'll be screeching and yelling at the top of my lungs, and it'll be the opposite of me. It'll be like my alter ego or my Tony Clifton. It'll be hilarious. I'll be in full. I'm talking mustache, beards, wigs, hats. Impeach Trump sign behind me. Baby Trumps floating around. Big, giant baby Trumps. Anyway, it's going to be fantastic. Subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman right now. It's been the pinned comment and description. But this is Clinton's advisor. So what did I tell you? I said there's going to be a push for Biden to drop out, and it's going to be a slow, continuous push for Biden to drop out. He is a placeholder. He had his role, just like Michael Bloomberg, who spent $1.2 billion, literally, a little over what Clinton spent. She spent $1.2 billion. He spent like 1.2 something billion. In 3 months, he spent. He never wanted to become president. He was just propping up the Democratic machine. Most of his ads were how horrible Trump was. So they're running on, hey, Trump is horrible and we don't stand for anything, but you got to choose us because look at the monster in the White House. So that's their only theme. So it really doesn't matter when people say, well, how does Biden, how does she take it away from Biden? There's no legal way. It's very legal. There's no legally, the pledge delegates are not legally bound to even vote for Biden, even in the first round. And it's Clinton, Madam Secretary, who runs the DNC. Donna Brazil wrote about this in Politico. But here, difficult thread, Biden should withdraw. I respect the will of the voters, but new information has emerged supporting the account of being assaulted. Okay, credible accusations are disqualifying, or we have no moral standards. Democrats already don't have any moral standards. You've already seen read hit pieces from the New York Times and the Washington Post against Tara Reid. Defeating Trump is not optional. To avoid potential catastrophe in November, Biden should withdraw. Warren, Harris, Klobuchar, Buttigieg, Castro, etc. could replace Biden. Bernie can restart his campaign. We can reboot the primary and give voters a choice. This is an ethical position and the smartest strategy to beat Trump. Now, this gentleman, dare I say, I wouldn't accuse him of being disingenuous. My goodness, no. He's a really upstanding human being, very fantastic person. I have nothing bad to say about him, but he had some disparaging things to say about me, as do a lot of people on the left, which is amusing. He wrote, on April 21st, 2018, he wrote, H.A. Goodman wrote some of the most viral anti-Clinton articles of 2016, shared in big numbers by the pro-Bernie, Hillary-hitting left. He is now an open Trump supporter. Will we hear any mea culpas? Okay, but prior to that, the same person who said that Bernie could restart his campaign just recently and said that, well, maybe Klobuchar or Castro or Warren or de Blasio could come in, in July 31st, 2017, this is why I find it fascinating, because I'm not accusing this person of being disingenuous. Why would I do that? But he goes, I wrote a thread on how Bernie Sanders and his diehard are destructive to Democrats. Today I learned he's sending emails attacking Dems. So this is, you got to understand, this is a former Clinton official, top-level official in her campaign, one of her trusted advisors, one of the closest people to Hillary Clinton at one point, and like a very, very, trusted, respected member of her team. He wrote in 2017, on Twitter, 1 out of 10 thread, the talking point that Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in America is misleading and excludes Obama and Biden. 2, Bernie Sanders and his diehard followers are detrimental to the Democratic Party. Their latest target is rising star Kamala Harris. 3, Sanders supporters have also gone after Cory Booker and continue to push right-wing talking points against Hillary Clinton and her voters. Then he goes on, it's really hilarious, it's awesome. One of the most common fallbacks of Sanders supporters is a highly misleading poll that claims he's the most popular politician in America. There's a million things to say about Bernie Sanders. The guy is not there to rock the boat or change the system or anything. He should have joined the Green Party. Now, I'm voting for President Trump, just like this gentleman said in 2018. But 15% of Bernie Sanders voters, according to ABC News, are going to vote for President Trump. I wrote in the Federalist why there's a much greater overlap between President Trump and Bernie than Biden and Bernie. That's just obvious. They're both against NAFTA. They're both against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They would both be for prison reform legislation. President Trump and Bernie both wanted to address the trade deficit with China, perhaps in different. Well, no, actually, they both wanted to address the trade deficit with China. They both want to. Well, Trump is doing so. He ended America's longest-running military conflict in Afghanistan. That's something that the left should be very proud of. Nothing from the left, because they don't care about foreign policy when it pertains to, like grandiose issues like never-ending military conflict where we send Americans off forever. You have Max Boot, Bill Kristol, Bernie Sanders, and Noam Chomsky all voting for Clinton in 2016 and Clinton in 2020. That should tell you something. I don't know if Chomsky voted for Clinton, but he'll vote for Clinton. He'll vote for Democrats in 2020. Maybe he did in 2016. But that's the left. You have Bush neocons and people like Bernie Sanders voting for the same person. That should tell you everything you need to know about the left. They don't care about sending Americans off forever. They literally do not care. They care more about what you say on Twitter than ending perpetual military conflict. But here, you have to understand, Bernie Sanders never faced a tenth of the scrutiny that Hillary did. Despite decades of vicious GOP smears, Hillary's numbers after she left states were 10 to 15 points better than Bernie's are now. It goes on forever. So why is this interesting? Why is this fascinating to me? You have to understand, it starts with former Clinton officials who had an app in Iowa. Clinton campaign DNC who purchased a dossier. All miraculous. FBI agents who said Clinton needs to win 1,000,000 and will stop Trump. Gosh, it's so interesting how everything, CrowdStrike paid by Democrats. It's just a coinky-dink everything. $500,000 Moscow speaking fee for Bill Clinton. It's fine. Clinton on the Committee on Foreign Investment. She didn't know about Uranium One. Look, I'm the biggest Hillary Clinton supporter on YouTube and the internet. Believe me, my voice is tied to her unbridled quest for political dominance and influence, which is fantastic because every year she'll run. She'll run in 2020, 2024, 2028, 2032, 2036. It'll be fantastic. I'll be right every election. I'll be right also that she can't win, although she could possibly become president this year. I'm saying my prediction is officially that President Trump will become president. I think that people right now, the average Trump supporter like myself, which is a broad range of people from progressives who left and became Trump supporters to conservatives who became Trump supporters. Trump supporters are not just one type of individual. No matter what Democrats and media want to, I will be the disgruntled, fanatical maniac on Bizarro World Goodman that thinks that Trump supporters are the end of the universe and President Trump is the end of our democracy. So subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman. But you cannot think that Madam Secretary will automatically lose again because she's the only chance that the Democrats have. She's the only person who could stand up to President Trump or somewhat stand up to him. In a debate, in my view, she would lose the debate. But they're going to do it all over again. And they were always going to do it all over again. That's what impeachment was about. They wanted to level the playing field. That's what everything for the past 3 to 4 years was leveling the playing field. The second that Clinton lost, she was going to run again. Bill de Blasio was never going to be president. I hate to break it to you. People say, well, here we go again. Why would I stop talking about this when everything I'm saying is happening and nobody sees it? It's pretty fantastic. I'm literally the only person on the planet, certainly in all of YouTube, that has from 2017 wrote about this in the Huffington Post, 2019 wrote about it in the Times of Israel, every day talk about it. NPR quoted me in 2015. People say, well, why do you talk about yourself all the time? Well, I take a lot of heat for things. I might as well explain that I've been on the right side of history. Well, I've been on the right side of history, but also I've called the both elections. And I called 2016 when I was on the left. Nobody on the left called 2016. When in 2015, NPR quoted me. And I said Clinton would lose swing states and she was unelectable. And that's what happened. In the paragraph 538, they quoted also said that Trump wouldn't even be GOP nominee. I was right. Trump also became GOP nominee. They might have been wrong. But the point is, you have a Clinton advisor who is now using these allegations as reasoning for Biden to drop out. Well, first of all, they're going to replace Biden with Clinton. Clinton has gone after and made the lives of women who accused Bill Clinton, made their lives miserable. So you're not making such an ethical leap or moral advance in judgment going from Biden to Bill Clinton on that issue, especially having Bill in the White House. Oh, good times. I remember the good times I had in the Oval Office. You're not really, and then we can go on. You destroyed Libya, Espionage Act U.S. Code 793F, deliberately storing and being able to transfer, store, receive top secret and special access program intelligence, which is impossible because they're only stored in intranets. So how it got to Clinton's server is an obvious crime. And it was all deliberate. It was to make it impossible to decipher or to read but her top secret emails and but her deleted emails. Nobody knows how she was able to transfer the top secret intelligence onto private servers that also had yoga emails. So she deleted 30,000 yoga emails, but she made it so difficult for the United States government at that point, especially with people like Comey, Strzok, McCabe, and Clapper, who they wanted Clinton to win. And we know this from literally their writing. We have people like FBI agents like Kleinsmith and Strzok and Lisa Page, who are all up in arms saying, oh my God, why did Trump win? And before that, they were saying we were going to stop Trump. So the whole thing was a cover-up. And the whole thing was a setup. They covered up Clinton's obvious crimes of utilizing servers outside of the United States government because nobody had access. And apparently President Obama didn't even know. Why do you think, allegedly, President Obama didn't know? Because had he known, he would have said no. Of course he knew, but theoretically, he would have obviously said no. That's why he said, I didn't know. I can go on forever about that. Nobody knows how she was able to obtain the top secret and special access program intelligence. And nobody in the United States government has stated, oh, well, that was me. That was because I allowed that to happen. Or we transferred, we were able to migrate systems outside the U.S. government with intranets. Anyway. That's a whole other story. They don't care about a litany of things, okay? A litany of things. The issue is this obvious deception and very simple, obvious public relations spin. They were never going to elect Eric Swalwell as president. They were never going to elect Bill de Blasio as president. Okay? Biden, they're not going to go with. Okay, Biden has more skeletons than a graveyard. He has more baggage than LAX. They propped up somebody they knew couldn't win just so they could say, gosh, do we have anyone else? It ain't going to be Cuomo because some people were saying, well, gee, you think Cuomo's going to be. Whether Biden picks a vice president or not before Clinton runs, let's say he picks Elizabeth Warren, that'll be Clinton's vice president. They're not going to go into the convention, the centennial of the 19th Amendment, with Biden. That makes no sense. And they would lose miserably, absolutely miserably with Biden. And they know this. With Clinton, they could possibly win again. If they tried, it's only 77,000 votes. So they put the media spin, and there's enough rabid people. They could possibly win. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't really think Madam Secretary cares if she loses again, because she'll run in 2024. Maybe you would care, but then you didn't destroy a country. Madam Secretary has a litany of countries she's voted on with Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld, and then with President Obama's smart power, NATO intervention. So you wouldn't do a lot of the things that Madam Secretary would do. Because you find it appalling or embarrassing doesn't mean she does. Okay? So you can't people are like, what do they have to gain? They turn into Harry Carey. What is that? What do they have to gain? They don't have to gain anything. It's like saying, well, what do people have to gain from working at speakeasies when Al Capone was running things in Prohibition-era New York or Chicago? Is that about gaining anything? The Madam Secretary and Bill run the show. So that's it. It's a political machine, just like Tammany Hall. Democrats have always been a political machine. And they demand allegiance and loyalty. Republicans don't. Republicans have, and actually they have a value system they agree on, but the conservative value system, at least, is a lot more unified in terms of ideology or thought process. And now you have things like prison reform that conservatives are at the forefront for. Give me your thoughts below. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman, H.A. Goodman's other channel right now, and Bizarro World Goodman. Thank you so very, very, very much. It's happening, folks, exactly the way I said it. Subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman right this